Hello, my name is Kindson Munonye, and in this presentation we are going to be taking a look at the Create WBS process, and this is the last of the planning processes under the Project Scope Management Knowledge area. Previously on the Scope Management Knowledge area, we've looked at Plan Scope Management, Collect Requirements, Define Scope, and now Create WBS. Meanwhile, WBS stands for Work Breakdown Structure. The Create WBS is a process of subdividing project deliverables and project work into smaller, more manageable components. The key benefit of this process is that it provides a structured vision of what has to be delivered. Now, what is the WBS? The Work Breakdown Structure is a hierarchical decomposition of the total scope of work to be carried out by the project team to accomplish project objectives. The WBS organizes and defines the total scope of the project and represents the work specified in the current approved project scope statement. Take note that the lowest level of the WBS components are called work packages. Yes, the lowest level component of the WBS are referred to as the work package. A work package can be used to group the activities where work is scheduled and estimated, monitored and controlled. So the breaking down of this component to this lower level helps in estimation, and the work refers to work products or deliverables that are the result of activities and not the activity itself. Okay? Alright. So let's take a look at the inputs, the tools and techniques, and the outputs of the Create WBS process. The inputs are the project management plan, the scope statements, the requirement documentation, and organizational process assets. We need two tools and techniques, and that is expert judgment and decomposition. The output of the Create WBS process is the scope baseline and the project document updates. Why do we need these inputs? We need the scope management plan to create the WBS because the scope management plan specifies how to create the WBS from the detailed project scope statement and how the WBS will be maintained and approved. The project scope statement describes the work that will be performed and the work that is excluded. It also lists and describes the specific internal or external restrictions or limitations that may affect the execution of the project. Another important input is the requirements documentation. Remember, the requirements documentation is an output of the collect requirements process. Detailed requirements documentation is essential to understanding what needs to be produced as the results of the project and what needs to be done to deliver the project and its final product. We need enterprise environmental factors, and these are industry-specific WBS standards which are relevant to the nature of the project. It can serve as external reference sources for the Create WBS process. For example, engineering products may refer to the ISO standards on system engineering, system life cycle process to create WBS. So let's now, we have organizational process assets like policies, procedures, templates for WBS can also be used to create the WBS. The tools and techniques are decomposition. Decomposition is a technique used for dividing and subdividing the project scope and the project deliverables into smaller, more manageable parts. The work package is the work defined at the lowest level of the WBS for which costs and duration can be estimated and managed. The level of decomposition is often guided by the degree of control needed to effectively manage the project. The level of detail for the work package will vary with the size and complexity of the project. There are some things you need to know about the composition. The composition of the work involves identifying and analyzing the deliverables and related work, structuring and organizing the WBS, decomposing the upper WBS levels into lower level detail components, developing and assigning justification codes to WBS component, and verifying that the degree of decomposition to the deliverables is appropriate. The composition may not be possible for a deliverable or subcomponent that will be accomplished far into the future. So components or subcomponents that are to be worked on, accomplished in the near future, are broken down. Now there is this concept of the 100% rule. The WBS represents all the project work, including the project management work. Okay, so the total of the work at the lowest levels should roll up to higher levels so that nothing is left out and no extra work is performed. This is sometimes called the 100% rule. It means that 100% all of the work and no extra is being performed, and it means gathering the lowest level of the WBS, the work packages, and rolling them up to higher levels. Okay, so sometimes the project management team may have to wait until the deliverable or subcomponent is agreed on. More details are provided so that the WBS can be developed. This is sometimes referred to as rolling wave planning. Another tool and technique is expert judgment. We've discussed expert judgment in some of the processes. Expert judgment is often used to analyze the information needed to decompose the project deliverables down into smaller component parts in order to create an effective WBS. So, expertise may be needed. Technical details can be provided by subject matter experts, professionals, even other managers within the organization. The outputs of Create WBS is the scope baseline. What is the scope baseline? The scope baseline is composed of the scope statement, the work breakdown structure, and the work breakdown structure dictionary that can be changed only through formal change control procedures and is used as a basis for comparison. It is a component of the project management plan. So the scope baseline is a component of the project management plan. Let's take a closer look at the scope baseline. We say that the component of the scope baseline is a project scope statement, the WBS and the WBS dictionary. The project scope statement includes the description of the project scope, major deliverables, assumptions, and constraints. Now let's take a look at the WBS and the WBS dictionary. The WBS is a hierarchical decomposition of the total work to be carried out by the project team to accomplish the project objectives and create required deliverables. Each descending level of the WBS represents an increasing detailed definition of the project work. Now, the WBS is finalized by assigning each work package to a control account. Take note, the WBS is finalized by assigning each work package must be assigned or must have a control account, and also a unique identifier for the work package has to be established from a code of accounts. Okay, so a code of accounts helps to create a unique identifier for the work packages. This identifier provides a structure for hierarchical summation of costs, schedule, and resource information. A control account is a management control point where scope, budget, actual cost, and schedule are integrated and compared to the earned value for performance measurements. Control accounts are placed as selected management points in the WBS. More on control accounts. Each control account may include one or more work packages, but each work package should be associated with only one control account. So we see a one-to-many relationship. One control account might have one or more work packages. Okay? A control account may include one or more planning packages. Now, what is a planning package? A planning package is a work breakdown structure component below the control account with known work content but without detailed schedule activities. I want to repeat this point. A planning package is a work breakdown structure component below the control account with known content but without detailed schedule activities. So we are saying that the lowest level of the WBS is the work packages. These work packages are aggregated, and above it we have control accounts. Control account is assigned one or more work packages. And just a flashback to get the definition of the control account as a management control point where scope, budget, actual cost, and schedule are integrated and compared to earned value for performance measurements. Below the control account we can have a planning package. It's a component below the control account. Now we also have the work breakdown structure dictionary. That is the WBS dictionary. It's a document that provides detailed deliverable, activity, and scheduling information about each component in the WBS. The WBS dictionary is a document that supports the WBS. Some of the information in the WBS include resources required, cost estimates, quality requirements, acceptance criteria, technical references, agreement information, code of account identifier, description of work, assumptions and constraints, responsible organization, schedule milestones, and associated schedule activities. So we've mentioned that the create WBS process, remember, it doesn't produce just the WBS, it produces the scope baseline. Create WBS output is not just, or is not the WBS, but the scope baseline and project document updates. Some of the project documents that might be updated include requirements documentation, output of a collect requirement process. Remember that requirements documentation is part of the project document. Okay, if approved change request results from create WBS project, then requirements documentation may need to be updated to include approved changes. So this is how we are wrapping it up in the create WBS process, and as usual I'm going to take you right back to the ITTO's page so that you spend some time there trying to get used to them. I'd like to thank you very much for joining me, and please join me in my next presentation as I'm going to start my discussion on validate scope.